สวัสดีครับทุกคนครับยินดีต้อนรับครับ Welcome to another coding session with Spot Skills วันนี้เราจะต่อไปจากครั้งที่แล้วครับครั้งที่แล้วเราแนะนำmedia query เลยทำให้ responsive อย่างไรครับถ้าเกิดว่าเราจะมีขนาดเล็กกว่าธรรมดาครับบนเบราว์เซอร์ของเราครับจะเปลี่ยนไปวิธีอย่างไรครับเปลี่ยนไป set arrangement layout อย่างไรครับถ้าเกิดว่าเป็น full ดูแบบนี้ครับถ้าเกิดว่าเรา shrink ขนาดของเราครับจะเปลี่ยนไปถึงนี้ครับ so we want to hide elements get rid of certain elements and we introduced this media query for max width of 768ตัวนี้ผมเพิ่ม the the developer tools down below so that we can see how all of these elements line up with each other แล้วก็เราจะมีโอกาสเห็นว่าขนาดเท่ากันครับถ้าเกิดว่าอยู่แบบนี้มากกว่า768ผมแค่อยากเห็นว่า768 pixel กลางกว่าครับกลางครับ so if I reduce that down to 768 and we'll see that come very close and we'll see it change about now and we'll have it there we go at 100 there we go now we are at 768 and the image in this image goes away or the subwoofer image goes away. We have very similar look and feel to this main page now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is move on down to the bottom section, why you should choose us และครั้งที่แรกผมอยากแก้ปัญหานี้เพราะว่ามีขนาดใหญ่กันไปทีนี้ครับผมเห็นว่าผมทำผิดนิดหน่อยและเมื่อไรเราจะสร้างเว็บเพจที่เด็กครับ I made this purposefully really big and so now what I'm going to do is just go to the very top and I can shrink this down at the top or in here I can change it where is it it is in the min height me min height teeny cup on my showcase so I can grab my showcase here and in my big size it looks okay. I'm okay with the big size looking the way it is. I'm okay with this space. 900 pixels is okay. แต่ถ้าเกิดว่ามีไซส์เล็กกว่าธรรมดาครับไม่ชอบใช้ขนาดแบบนี้ครับ it's too much space. So what can I do? In my showcase I can change this to now be showcase of a min height of let's try 400 pixels and see what happens. So if now that goes to 400 pixels, that looks much better. So now we're at 400 pixels and there's not as much space. Now I can flow from one to the next. If I wanted to make it smaller, I can. 300 pixels, that's fine, no problem. And now it flows nicely. So now we'll work on this section, so why you should choose us. And they made the font size a bit smaller here, made this font a bit smaller, and then here we have a problem. Our flex is going off of the page. And we have another problem มีปัญหาอื่นครับ flex ไม่มีเท่ากันบนโรครับไม่มีเหมือนกันแบบเท่ากันบนโรข้างล่างครับ so we have to fix that so this is also a problem within Flexbox itself so we might have to change it to the grid method so all we're going to do แค่ตั้งใจบนส่วนนี้ครับ so in here why should you choose us ผมจะเล็กกว่านั้นครับ so I'm going to make that a bit smaller so in our about I'm going to go all the way to the very top and grab this whole section, grab all of these, come all the way down, and paste them in. And in here, I can see, I don't really care about my margin top. I might worry about that, I might not. My margin intro, I can leave that alone. Now my font size, this is where I want to reduce it down to 30 pixels. Perfect. Now it's a bit smaller. Here, might want to do 40 and just do a font weight of bold. Maybe you want to change that. All right, looks okay. The bold style, I did not import from my Railway here. So that I might have to download again and import a bold font for Railway, but we'll leave that one alone for now. So ตอนนี้ไม่จะคิดเกี่ยวกับ font weight แค่ size ขนาด40และนี้ I'm going to make this a bit smaller. This looks a little too big, so my paragraph, I'm going to make this about 15 and we'll see what that looks like. Awesome, looks much nicer. And I can increase this to maybe 100 and see what that looks like. That looks okay, and it's a little bit wider than this. ถ้าเกิดว่าอยากเก็บ75เก็บได้ครับและเปลี่ยนไปถึงนั้นได้ครับ so it looks okay. So here, I don't care about my margin and my line and any of that. All I'm going to do is really change up the font sizes, and that's it. So in my developer tools, I have my media query that has my font size, and everything else about my font title stays the same. I take all the defaults in from my user agent style sheet, And then my paragraph, I still take in my max width from my media query and font size of 15 pixels. และมี width เท่ากันอยู่เหมือนกันจาก style sheet original margin อยู่จาก style sheet original และ line height อยู่จาก style sheet original โอเคตอนนี้เราจะแก้ปัญหาทีนี้ครับและเรารู้ว่ามีปัญหากับ flex มีปัญหาไม่มีเท่ากัน row แบบนี้เป็นลำบากมากที่สุด so what we're going to do is just change this to a grid. We can make it very easy to make this a grid and still keep everything centered. So I'm going to do about cards, which is the name of this, and I'm just going to change the display to grid, and I'm going to do a grid template, columns, one frame, one frame, one frame, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we still have the same exact look and feel. Let's make sure that change took, and we've dropped to display flex. That's gone. My text align center, อยู่เหมือนกัน margin อยู่เหมือนกัน และมี display grid ตัวนี้จากกฎนี้ครับ so from these rules I know I'm getting a display grid and I'm getting one frame one frame one frame แต่ดูเหมือนกันไม่เปลี่ยนไปเลยครับดูเหมือนกัน so what happened? What we can do in our grid columns is do what's called a repeat, and I want to repeat it 3 times, only 3 elements per line, and I want to set a minimum maximum 0 pixels, and I want to do 3 frames each. And so what that's going to do is change all of these up to be right in the very center with 3 pixels or 3 frames each, and now they're all in the exact same line. So grid can keep my columns even along the way. Flex cannot keep my columns even. Flex will keep my rows up and down. Grid will keep my rows very even and static along the way. So we see that big difference between grid and flex. To know the limitations ถ้าเรารู้ว่า limitation ของ flex และ limitation ของ grid จำเป็นต้องเล่นไปกับทั้ง2วิธีเพราะว่าทั้ง2มี limitation ทั้ง2มีแข็งแรงในส่วนตัวเองครับ so grid is really powerful at keeping things consistent. Flex is really easy to implement and has a lot more options to tweak individual elements. So you're gonna have to play around with it to figure out which one works for you for the layout that you want. I'm just showing you examples on a very high level. And then we're gonna decrease the size of these fonts here and make them a bit smaller. So what can I do? The about card title. And we'll do a font size of, let's say, 30 pixels, and that should reduce that down. Maybe I want to go a bit smaller, 25 pixels, and see what that looks like. Cool. And then our about paragraph, I want to make that a bit smaller. ผมจะเล็กกว่านั้น about card para, and we're going to do a font size here of, let's say, 15 pixels, and see what that looks like. All right, much nicer, much smaller, much more compact. And we're going to solve this overflow problem as well. That overflow problem is coming from another section of my page down here with my image. And so we're going to fix that and then take care of going side to side because we don't want people to go side to side. We're going to lock people in. So once we fix our container down there, we'll be able to fix the image as well and resize it. So for now, we're doing okay. If we want to, we can get rid of this margin up top here. That margin is coming from, let's see, the about cards. Looks like that margin above is coming from my, let's see, not so much the button, but inside, not the image. I think it's coming from my padding of my about card inner. So if I got rid of my padding here and I reduced this down to, let's say, 50 pixels, it's a little too small, whoops, that might be okay. So I can take the about card inner here, about card inner, and I can take the padding down, copy this whole line, oops, and I can just say padding, and there we go. And now when we reload it, we have better padding there, and I'm going to reduce my bottom padding to 50 pixels as well. So that'll reduce that size. So that looks much more compact, looks much nicer, and flows a little bit cleaner and better. And so when we take a look at this now, they've font weighted their bold, which we're okay with, and they've got their read more down below. And we can also reduce our button size if we want to. So we're going to jump up top, grab our button. And where is our button? Right here. Our button is right here. Come all the way down to the bottom. And above my container, sorry, below my container, because this is a utility class, I can change my font size to be 15 pixels, make that a bit smaller, cool, and I can reduce my padding down to, let's say, 15 pixels here, and let's say 30 pixels here, and that'll make the button a little bit smaller there. And so now it fits in a little bit nicer like this one does. And that should be it. I can also, if I wanted to, keep the padding even less, so 10 pixels, 20 pixels, and get that a little bit closer to the read more, and then increase the font size here back to 20 pixels, and then it looks a little bit closer to this style here. So it's up to you however you want to do it. แล้วแต่คุณครับถ้าเกิดว่าอยากใช้ขนาดใหญ่กว่าใน padding หรือเล็กกว่าแล้วแต่คุณครับแต่แค่อยากแสดงว่าอยากใช้อย่างไรข้างใน media query ของเราครับ but up to you on the styling and the design. I really just want to show you how to manipulate the components individually within a media query. And that's our little section right here. Next time we will cover this section. So ครั้งหน้าเราจะ cover เราจะทบทวนแก้ปัญหาส่วนนี้อย่างไรครับเราจะใช้อาจจะ flex หรืออาจจะใช้ grid แล้วแต่เราครับ so I'm going to show you both methods next time. So if you have questions, feel free to ask in both our Facebook page or the YouTube section. But that's it for today. I hope you got a lot out of today, and I hope this was an easy lesson for you to be able to figure out how to align items easily and then resize them based on a smaller screen. We're going to stay within the media query for a while until we finish it out. But as you can see, we're just building out individual components and then adding what we're going to change, and that's it. So, again, just feel free to ask, and we'd love to teach you whatever you have questions on and love to show you how things work. So with that, have a good day. Bye.